When Navy Reservist Mark Pfeffer deployed to Afghanistan, he never dreamed part of his mission would become rescuing a stray puppy named Cinnamon. Mark made all the arrangements to bring Cinnamon home, and then when the plane that was supposed to have Cinnamon on it arrived in Chicago, Cinnamon wasn't there. Well, then Mark's sister, Christine Sullivan, an animal lover herself, well, she's written a new book about the great lengths this family had to go to save Cinnamon. It's called Saving Cinnamon. You can see the book there. Mark, Christine, and Cinnamon have all come in to join us today. We're so glad to have you.
Thanks for having us.
This is such an inspirational story. First of all, Mark, I want to ask you, when you came upon Cinnamon over there in Afghanistan on this tour, what swayed the decision for you? Because it's not easy or cheap to get a dog back from Afghanistan.
Well, I grew to love her over several months during my deployment. And what happened was, coincidentally, I ran into a dog handler that explained the process of getting her home. And that's when the idea started to gel. My wife Alice had been asking me, bring her home, bring her home. And once I got the idea from him that it could be done, I started to do some research and really think that it could be.
Now, ultimately, things went astray, and there is a huge, beautiful, amazing, miraculous story about how you eventually got her home. Christine, you wrote the book about it. Tell us a little bit about, 44 days to find her and get her home.
Yeah. Well, as you said, we expected her to land in Chicago, and we got the terrible news that she was not on that plane, and Mark was due to come home any day after being on his tour of deployment. And when word got out to us from him in an email that Cinnamon wasn't found anywhere, she had gone missing, I just couldn't stand that Cinnamon was missing somewhere. Mark felt guilty and terrible about what happened, so I launched an international search for her by reaching out to my animal-loving friends and network of advocates.
And you had been very instrumental in working with animals after Hurricane Katrina. You're a longtime animal helper and lover. I gotta say, when I was initially reading the book, some of Mark's emails, he sounds so resigned to the fact, listen, we gotta just think that she's happy somewhere else and that she's gonna be okay. You were not willing to accept that, though. Tell us about some of the things you had to do to get her home.
Well, the hardest part was we didn't know what happened to her, so we thought she was alone and maybe injured without food and water. And the hardest thing was really just not knowing where to begin. You know, she was 7,000 miles away, was where she went missing, and so it was really an international band of heroes that I refer to that intervened with our help on our behalf. Just so many people coming together to do their part, reaching out to a worldwide animal rescue organization, finding a local animal rescue organization where we found that she had been left behind. And then the other really hard part was trusting other people to do their part in the role, because it really took an awful lot of people's effort, and we could not have done it without each and every one of them. So we're very grateful to everybody that had a hand in this.
And Mark, let me ask you, having Cinnamon there on the base in Afghanistan and growing closer to her, what did it mean to you and the other soldiers there to have her around?
People have asked us, that question comes up often, because people say, that don't quite get it, say, well, she's your dog. Well, what's the big deal? She's just a dog, if you will. But she's a lot more. Dogs over there, companion animals in general, mean a lot more to us over there. It's really a 5-minute break from the war zone. That's what it really means. And people bond with their pets very, very strongly, but then you overlay that on top. To come back from patrol or to come back from a very high op-tempo situation and spend 10 minutes throwing the ball or just loving on the dog, you don't generally do that unless it's a companion animal. You can't do that with your fellow soldiers.
Absolutely.
So it gives you a break, gives you a great release.
Well, Mark, we thank you so much for your service, and Christine for writing the story about Cinnamon. We're glad to have all of you here and so glad for your happy ending.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming in. Well, coming up, it's a real-life Footloose situation. Where's Kevin Bacon?